So, as you know, if you have any questions, you're welcome to pose your question by speaking your question or writing it in the chat box. And if you are watching on the YouTube channel, you can also pose a brief question in the chat box and I will respond to it. Just a few words. It does not matter so much what you say, what you do, how you live. What matters is what you are living as, what you are speaking from. Everything is guided from the source. If you put on a costume of a certain clown, then you act like a clown. If you put on the costume of a priest, you act like a priest. If you put on the costume of a nurse, you're acting as a nurse. But without costume, without a uniform, is the source. What you are precedes the dress or the role or the identity that you take. The identity that you take, the role that you play, doesn't matter. As long as you know yourself to be the identityless, the identityless, the formless reality of being, the transparent presence, the reality that perceives. Then from that freedom, from that recognition, there is a recognition of your freedom. Like a model that models clothes from various designers. It doesn't matter what outfit the model is wearing, is putting on. They can be putting on designers, various designers' clothes. They remain as they are the model. But first, you need to know yourself. You need to come to that clarity, to the transparency of being, which is your true nature, which is transparent, formless. And as this formless self, all is lived transparently. When you are opaque, when you are dense, when you are in some form of identity, then your life and your perception is affected by this opacity and is veiled by the identity or the various identification that you assume. The main assumption, the main identity is that I am the body-mind, that I am a man or a woman, And somehow the neural system throughout the organism gets infected by that position, by that point of view. And as a result of that, you perceive an external world and an internal self, which is just an imaginary experience you are having. Because in fact, you never experience anything outside of yourself. But under that influence, under that magnetic belief and identification, you perceive an external world and you imagine yourself as a separate self. So then you are seeking in your dream perception, you are seeking happiness in your dream perception. And you are running away from the lions that are chasing you, and you're running towards some hidden treasure. All that is taking place in your dream as you imagine yourself to be a dream character, and you simultaneously are overlooking the borderless presence that you are, the formless presence that is, that the I am is, that has no name and no age and no gender, and that does not recognize any limitation. Therefore, it is not a body mind or any form of object. It is the reality that perceives right now, this perception that hears these words. And so your journey and your contemplation is contemplation of what is the reality of my experience? What am I truly? What is it that truly perceive? What is it that is? What is it that is not manufactured, that is not thought made, that is not made out of mentation, that is not a structure? What is it that is pristine, that is absolute? So absolute that I cannot move away from it. So you look at what is that in your experience. And you will find that you cannot find it in any time and space. Because time is always traveling from yesterday to tomorrow, from here to there. Space is moving you from here to there. And a moving target, a moving object, cannot find the unmovable. The shifting, the changing cannot find the changeless, the eternal. Only the stillness speaks that which is still and reveals that which is beyond existence and non-existence. Everything that appears to you is a dream appearance. The you that is the knowingness, the reality of all appearances, is not an appearance. That is not affected by the dream, is completely free from the dream, and is the magic and the magnificence of consciousness. This recognition is a crucial recognition that no one can do on your behalf. You recognize yourself, I recognize I. And in this recognition, I recognize all eyes as one eye, all selves as one self. So if you have any questions, we can explore them together.
Hi, Magdi.
Hello, Esther.
Esther.
Yes.
I often wonder about gratitude, the meaning of it. Since there's not two, would you talk about how you see gratitude?
So you could say that gratitude is one of the ways towards the revelation, towards the divine revelation of our true nature, our indivisible self. We are grateful for everything, for the breath, for the friendship, for perception, for whatever is arising in the dream. And via gratitude, the rebellious mind, the whiny mind, is weaned, is brought to appreciate gratitude. Is spoon-fed the sweetness that there is in gratitude, and the peace that there is in gratitude, and the openness that there is in gratitude, so that the mind will start to appreciate gratitude rather than its spoiled child habits of old. And so we are grateful for what is unfolding for us. We're grateful for what has unfolded, and we're grateful for whatever will unfold. We are grateful for everything and everyone. And in gratitude, the mind is not comparing or judging. It's bowing. It's saying thank you, and it's appreciating. And as the mind becomes more and more quiet and still and in appreciation, and it becomes more and more sort of in awe to all what is unfolding, because it's sort of is being uprooted from its old habits of complaining and judging and whining, and is brought to appreciate every little grain of sand, every little gesture. And although we may have started with being grateful for everything and everyone, this gratitude grows in us, and somehow we become the gratitude. Of course, it's a way of speaking, because what we are doesn't become anything, is not becoming or non-becoming. But the gratitude that is initially towards, from me towards something else, grows to be one of the aspects of love. So in the absolute, from the absolute perspective, consciousness has no opposite, has nobody or nothing to be grateful for. Like an orange that grows on a tree, or a walnut that grows on a tree, or a seed that grows on a tree that has no significance for human consumption. They're all equal at one level, at a certain level, at the absolute level, they're all equal. But it's very delicious to eat an orange, or to smell the blossom of the orange grove, or to crack a walnut open and eat the fruit of the walnut. At the absolute level, they are what they are. They have no significance. But at the relative level, it's very lovely to eat an orange or a walnut. Dolores, I will come to your question in just a minute. So, yes, Esther, at the absolute level, there is no one to be grateful to as I am gratitude. And in a way, the path of gratitude and the path of appreciation leads you to what you truly are, to leads you to the peace, the happiness, the bliss of the self that you are, where there is no one to be grateful to anyone. But the gratitude is a path, is part of the path, the many paths that are important to cultivate, to honor, to recognize, to live. Not mechanically, but the living a heart of gratitude, to be living that, to be embodying gratitude, and to be inviting ourselves to that path of all this is so magical, so wondrous, so magnificent. And that the complaining mind is so insignificant in the face of the magnificence of a raindrop, or the magnificence of breath, and of course the amazing magnificence of consciousness that I am aware. So the contradiction that may seem, that sort of you were asking about, since there are no two, who is grateful to whom, or what is grateful to what? In a sense, there is nobody being grateful to anybody, because we are one. But is this truly our living experience? If it is our living experience, then of course we have no question. But along the path, gratitude is respect, honor, trust, and fairness, a lot of various aspects of consciousness that we can live in the living dream that reveal to us aspects of ourselves. So we could say that gratitude is a complete absence of the me mind. When the me mind is absent, there's no complaining, no judging, no wanting, no hating, no regretting, no envying. Could call it gratitude, love, peace, happiness, appreciation. But yes, there is no separate anybody doing any of that. It is just like the sun shines. It shines on the surface of the lake and it may glitter. And it shines on the surface of the field or the prairie, and there it's a completely different glitter. It shines onto a lone tree in the desert and it just casts a shadow, and at the same time it reveals the color of the sand and the tree. All of that is how consciousness appears in the dream. And what is that but an invitation for us to recognize the absolute aspect that the relative refers to.
Thanks, Magdi. That was very beautiful. Somehow I envision arms wide open as kind of a visual for gratitude.
Yes. And the heart. Yes. The arms and the heart. And everything. Everything wide open. Why complicate that which is perfect? So, Dolores, you asked a question on the YouTube channel. The question is, do you meditate? So, Dolores, to answer very briefly your question, I would reply by telling you that I am meditation. That I is meditation. So that's when the separate self is no longer your experience, then there is no one meditating. The activities that belonged to a separate self, to somebody, they cease to be somebody's activities. So the question that is more important in your question is, what is the I that meditates? And what is meditation? So let's start with what is meditation. Meditation is looking, turning our attention towards the source. Turning our attentions towards reality, turning our attentions towards consciousness, turning our attentions towards what is real. Sort of moving rather than turning your attention towards the mind that's constantly living in the conceptual realm and in the metaphoric realm, in the realm of words and language. We turn our attention to that which is the reality of all perceptions, that which is the knowingness of all perceptions, that which does not come and go in all perceptions. And if you look at what is that doesn't come and go in all perceptions, you will come upon awareness, presence, beingness, consciousness, whatever words you want to use. So whenever you turn your attention towards that which does not come and go, that is meditation. So meditation is not the counting of the breath or doing some mantra or doing some koan work or doing some chanting. These are various tools to bring the mind, let's say, or to prepare the mind towards meditation. Because sometimes the mind needs a little training. The body-mind needs a little training to the body. Often we sit quietly in meditation, we don't move. It's sort of a training of the mind and training of the body to bring it towards meditation. But to be training the body and the mind towards meditation is not meditation. So chanting is not meditation, doing mantra work is not meditation, doing prostration is not meditation, doing circumambulation is not meditation, remaining silent with your eyes closed and following the breath is not meditation. All of that, they use the term meditation is misused by folks who understanding. You can go directly to meditation, to true meditation, by looking directly at what is it that is real right now. Before the name Dolores, before your mom and your dad, before any thought arises, what is it that is? Anyways, coming back to your question. So meditation is the inquiry into the reality of consciousness and the contemplation of that. Looking deeper and deeper into that, and simultaneously inquiring, looking into what is the reality of I am a woman or I am the body. How real is that? What is the reality of that? I perceive the body. Is the body real? I perceive a bodily sensation. Is the reality belongs to the bodily sensation or to that perceives? Bodily sensation is changing second to second. It's being interpreted via thought, moment by moment. What is it that is not interpreted by thought, moment by moment? What is it that is not constantly changing in your experience? So in your question also, you said, do you meditate? What is the I that meditates? For example, you could say that right now I am speaking. What is the I that is speaking? Is it the body that is speaking? One could say, yes, it is the body that is speaking. Or one could say, well, something is speaking through the body. What is your experience? Is your experience that it is the body that is speaking, or is your experience that it is I that is speaking? I bet you your experience is that it is I that is speaking. And your experience is never it's the body that is speaking. Your experience is always it's I that is speaking. What is this I? So true meditation is this, what we're just looking at right now, what we are sharing right now. That's meditation. So you could say, yes, I meditate. But it's been more exact to say that I am meditation. I is that. There is no separate meditator in meditation. In true meditation, there is no meditator. The self is already self-knowing and is not looking for anything, is not seeking anything. in the dream, meaning in the illusion of separation, where you have identified yourself with a certain set of sensations, a certain set of feelings, a certain set of thoughts, you have forgotten that you are this transparency of being, that you are this reality. And because you have forgotten, then you need to recollect, you need to remember. But also, I would just tell you on a certain, welcome Dolores, mind level, I would share with you that I used to do all sorts of meditative practices, but these practices that you refer to. And somehow, when you go to a harvest, to plant the rice or to plant the corn, you're not just going to plant the corn. You're not interested in just planting the corn. You're interested in the harvest. And the harvest is that you are meditation. Any questions? Rajwant, I'm seeing your question here on the YouTube channel. You say, hello, Magdi. I think I will ask Dolores' question a little differently. Do you have a routine that you yourself maintain after the realization that you are meditation, or the harvesting has been done? In other words, sitting in the morning or any other time. I have seen people ask the same question to Francis and others as well. No, Rajwant, I don't have any routine. I brush my teeth in the morning and have breakfast. Because nothing is repeating itself, you see. Every moment is so new, so fresh. What is there to repeat? Every moment is such moment of awe, of such majesty, such wonder, and also the simplicity of it. Having a cup of tea, talking with Tara, striving to. Every moment is so fresh and complete. It's not lacking anything. The body may need something. We may need to go to the store to buy, some groceries. But that's just at the body-mind level. We do activities. But at the reality level, every moment is completely complete. It's not in time, in fact. It's all shining light of, isn't it so, in this very moment, this consciousness appearing as this. It's quite magical, and so there isn't any drive or need to do anything. Rajwan, you're right. You're right. Thank you very much. Brushing teeth and breakfast is good enough. Thank you very much for the prompt and clear response. Okay, Rajwan. In a way, nothing is special and everything is special. Nothing is special in that. Who cares? Whatever is happening is happening. And everything is special as it's so magical, the extraordinariness of consciousness, the majesty of consciousness. So it doesn't matter what's happening in the events and this or that, at the body level, at the mind level, at the political level, whatever. Really doesn't matter. And it all matters as this amazing show that points directly to this transparency that is 24/7. It's never turned off. It's just, we just overlook it somehow. We overlook that which is eternal, which is timeless, which is infinite in our experience. It's like we overlook the diamond and we're more interested in its shadow. Emmanuel, hola Emmanuel, I see your question on the YouTube channel. You write, hola compadre, hola. Since there is consciousness alone and nothing separate from it, how does the phenomenon of perceiving happens? Is it consciousness which perceives its own dream through the senses? And what is the role of the mind in all this? In terms of perception, Emmanuel, as long as there is the me impression, the person, the I am Magdi, I am Emmanuel, I am this person, then what perceives is the person. The person is perceiving. You will experience that the person is perceiving. This is how it will seem to you. This is how it will feel to you. And that would be your experience. Now, when you look a little closer at your experience, when you start to sort of dig into it, you will notice that the I that perceives, the Magdi or the Emmanuel that perceives, the person that perceives, is made out of thoughts and sensations. There isn't an actual robot or an actual machine or an actual reality that is called Emmanuel that is doing the perceiving. When you dig into your experience of perception, you will notice that the perceiver is not a separate entity. In order to do that, you have to look at what is this I that perceives. When you look at what is it that perceives, you will not find an actual perceiver. You will only find the question, what is it that perceives? You will not find an answer. You will not find, like you open a door and then you will find somebody behind the door that is perceiving, say, oh, I found you. You will only find the question, what is it that perceives? You may find thoughts arising, saying this perceives, that perceives, etc. But you will not find somebody that perceives. And yet, you cannot deny that I perceive. So here you are. You cannot find somebody that perceives. You cannot find a separate perceiver. And at the same time, you cannot deny I perceive. So you put them together. Say that the I that perceives and that cannot be found are one. So the I cannot be found. The perceiver, which is undeniable, cannot be found. It cannot be found as an object. It cannot be found as a thought. It cannot be found as a perception. But yet you cannot deny it. So you say, how can I not deny, how can I reconcile those two? You cannot reconcile them at the mind level. You can only reconcile them in your inner knowingness. You know I am, and I know that I perceive. So there is an I that is, that knows it is, and it knows that it perceives. But then you look a little deeper. You say, okay, well, what is it that I perceive? What is it to perceive? And you will find that the perception that you perceive and the I that perceives the perception are at zero distance one from each other. They are one and the same. They are not two. In other words, you are not perceiving anything outside of yourself. You are perceiving yourself. How could you perceive yourself? That makes no sense at the mind level. But from a different perspective, we say that perception is just consciousness arising as this. It's like the clouds arising as a form, as a shape, the shape of a lion or the shape of an angel. But in fact, there is no actuality or to the dragon that's arising out of the clouds or out of the smoke. Consciousness is manifesting as this, but as it is manifesting as this, it is never becoming anything. It is not, there isn't an external creation that is outside of consciousness. It is consciousness, one could say, that is dreaming itself as this. It morphs itself as this, while it remains formless. It seems, so form is an impression, it's a mind impression. There isn't an actual reality called form, because our experience is never of any external reality. It is always internal and intimate. So in terms of what is it that perceives, what is the role of the mind in all this? The mind is like a label. You know, those in the stores, they have like these machines, they make a label. So for tomatoes, they press the T and it presses a tomato label. For an apple, it presses an apple label. For an orange, it presses an orange label. So the mind is like a label machine. It labels, it classifies, it categorizes, it distinguishes, and it's very useful and helpful for the body mind at this level. So it makes distinctions. My car, not your car. My job is in downtown here, not in a different location. So the mind serves as that, has a functional purpose. Like, for example, the eyes have a functional purpose to perceive, and the arms have a functional purpose to reach, to for the body to function. So the mind is one of these organs. It's an organ that helps in navigating the body-mind realm in the dream. But it's quite different from identifying yourself as a body-mind. See, there is nothing wrong with the mind. We are never having an issue with the mind. We're always talking about ignorance, meaning mistaking the I, which is consciousness, which is transparent, which is formless, to be a body mind that is born and that is living in time and space. That is what we're always talking about. We're never talking about the mind, which is not a problem. So you could say that you ask, is it consciousness which perceives its own dreams through the senses? Yes, we could say that. We would say yes, it is consciousness that's perceiving its own dreams through the senses. It perceives through the senses, it perceives the couch, it perceives the picture, it perceives the oak tree outside. And yes, through the senses. It is always, there is only one reality, only one perceiver, which is consciousness. But this does not mean that there is a tree out there outside of consciousness. Sunsi Sandeep, you write the following: the above question is mostly on integrating the understanding of who we are into the daily activities. Yes, Sumi Sandeep. You are right. It is a question that integrates our understanding of who we are in the daily activities. Rena, you're right. Thank you, Magdi. I feel beautifully reminded of the truth that escapes me again and again. But here it is. Now it is. Yes. So if there are any questions. Sunny Sandeep, you write, hi, I had a question previous to the one you read. Okay, let me see if I can go up to it. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, I did not see it, Sunny-san. So you say the question is on the intermittent no self experience. Repeating to hear the intermittent no self experience. You know, Sunny-san, there is no such thing as a, well, it depends how you mean no self. Okay. Our experience is always that of the self. We're always I. I mean, I'm never not I, right? In my experience, I am I. But that is our actual experience. But superimposed onto our experience, there is the thought and the feeling that I am the body. So now I'm no longer I am I, but I am the body. This is what we perceive and we experience, that I am a body. I'm a young body. Now I'm in my 30s, now I'm in my 40s, now I'm an old girl, I'm an old woman, I'm an old man. Because the I has been appropriated or has been attached to the body. So then we're experiencing that I am an old man or an old woman or an old person. And that we're also experiencing thoughts that are saying, okay, soon I'm going to cease to be. Because we all know that the body, after 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years, whatever it is, that body is going to croak. It's going to go to dust. So because we have gone from I am I to I am the body, now there is I am going to end, because the body is going to end. But in fact, we've never experienced our ending. In our experience, we never experience our ending. We experience thoughts that may say, oh yeah, I've ended, you know, I am going to end, or this is my 400th life. We experience thoughts that say, I have ended. Maybe we experience thoughts that say, I have ended. But the thought doesn't know anything about you. Even if the thought is jumping up and down and saying, yes, you have ended, you will end, you will end. It doesn't mean anything, because the thought, you know the thought doesn't know anything about you. A thought is an object that you perceive. It's a subtle object. You perceive gross objects like an oak tree, and you perceive subtle objects like thoughts and feelings. The fact that you perceive an object doesn't mean that the object knows anything about you. So coming back to what I wanted to share with you is that we never experience no self. We never experience our ending. We've never experienced our ending. Never. It's just a thought, an idea that we experience. And because we have identified the emotions, which are contractions within the body, about, oh my God, I am going to die. You know, the body contracts, it is meant to contract. For example, when you are driving and you're about to have an accident, you know, and a deer jumps in front of you and you press on the brakes. At that moment, the body completely contracts. The blood that was circulating throughout all the body rushes back to the heart. The diaphragm raises itself. In other words, the body contracts in order to, if there is any injury, you will have a better chance for the body to survive. So contraction is, in a way, a surviving mechanism, which makes sense for the body. But we contract because we think we are going to die. That's called a psychological contraction. The psychological contraction, we live all our life like that. We live every day with psychological contractions. We're worried about our health, about our job, about the neighbor, about our car, about a million things which are unnecessary, unneeded contractions. And the biggest contraction of all is, of course, the fear of death. It's in there. It's in the space. I know we're not thinking about it, but it's there. And all of that is imaginary. All bodies are going to die, but what am I truly? Am I the body? You have to look closely at this question. Don't take my word for it, or not take the word of your priest or your mother or your grandfather. You have to find out for yourself. Now, sometimes, just looking still at your question about the no self, sometimes we experience a break from the identification, like we experience like a glimpse into our true nature. In a moment we realize, oh my God, I am not all these ideas that I believe that I am. I am not this person, this story that I believe that I am. And these glimpses are a blessing. They're grace appearing, shining, inviting you to recognize yourself, giving you a little hint, giving you a direct perception of your true nature. But the habit, the me habit, is very strong in the mind and also in the body. Our feelings. We feel like I am sitting on this chair. We feel like I am this man, I am this woman. And so sometimes it takes many more glimpses into our true nature to start to many cracks in the eggshell, so that the light now is shining from many different directions into our experience. So it's normal for you to have experiences of no self, no personal self, and go back into the identification, back and forth. But what's important is that you continue your contemplation, you continue to seek the Dharma, you continue to contemplate the teachings, try to understand them, to probe into their meaning, to reflect onto the teaching, and to live the living meditation, living your understanding. Because if you don't live it, it remains abstract. You have to actually live it so that it can uproot from your body, mind, from your life. It will uproot those tendencies that keep you in the feeling of separation, in the unhappiness. of the sense of limitation. And patience is a virtue. Suni-san, you write, my question is on intermittent experience of non-egoic self. Intermittent, not permanent. However, egoic self thoughts do appear and how to handle them. Stay in non-egoic state and see thoughts. You know, whatever appears to you, Suni, don't judge it. If you can remain as you are, irrespective of what arises, don't make an ideal for yourself. Remain as you are. Allow what arises to arise as it is, with a certain degree of disinterest, dispassion. Don't make yourself a goal to become enlightened or to become free of the sense of personal self, because that goal is also can be appropriated by the personal self and can maintain the personal self-impression. Allow all what is arising to arise. It is arising anyways. Just don't put any sticks in the wheel. Remain as you are. Don't judge yourself in terms of success or failure, because that also comes from the personal self. Don't praise yourself and don't vilify yourself. Allow all experiences to arise as they arise. This is the path of dispassion and the path of non-action. Dispassion for pursuing or resisting objects in the world. Dispassion for the objects in the world, for the thoughts, for the experiences. It's not mean denial. It means you just, they're there, they arise. Your passion is for awakening, for truth, for remaining as you are. Because you're remaining as you are, the I is perfect within itself. And the path of non-action is the path of not doing. The doing is always a resisting or a seeking. Be like the surface of the lake. If there is no wind, it's not moving. If there is wind, it's moving. If there is sun, the sun shines on it. If there is no sun, then there is nothing shining on it. No sun shining, no sun is shining on it. See if you can find within yourself this inner space that can be quiet and unmoving. Cultivate that gently, lovingly, without exerting effort. Cultivate this inner quality of peace and tranquility. Try to improve yourself. Spiritually, I mean, of course, you can improve yourself physically by exercising your body and whatever else you need to do. I mean, psychologically. It is normal for the wavering between knowing oneself and forgetting. Okay, it's normal. It happens. It's let it be. Let it happen. Okay. Sunny, you're right. Thank you. Related to this, had a question on free will and personal will. In the non-egoic self state, it feels there is no personal will. However, when back to egoic self, it feels I need to do. Yeah, when you need to do, don't worry about being egoic or non-egoic. When you need to do, ask yourself, what is this I that needs to do? When you look at what is the I that needs to do, it's already a good beginning for the contemplation in terms of doing and personal will. Now, when your actions are coming from the egoic state, it feels like there is something at stake. I have to do something. I have to do this action or else. And you will feel it in your body. You will feel in your body a certain anxiety, a certain sense of angst, a certain unhappiness, I don't know, belly ache. You will feel your breath is not open. You will not feel happy in your body. Whenever you are experiencing this sort of inner contraction, take a break. Turn your attention to it. Oftentimes, we get engaged in activity, in more activity and more thinking to avoid just being still and experiencing this inner contradiction within our body. See if it's possible for you to turn your inner radar to the unhappiness, if it arises, if it's there, the unhappiness that is triggering your action or that is accompanying your action. If it is unhappy, if there is an unhappiness in your body and you know you want to act and there is an unhappiness, take a break. Wait a minute. Maybe your action will just going to deepen the unhappiness. We are always unhappy as a separate person. Our deepest happiness in our life is in deep sleep, when we are not a person. Or when we are sitting with a friend and we know each other, we don't have to try to portray any image, we don't have to defend anything, we put our feet up and there's no image, no personal image, you see. We're always unhappy when we are a personal self. And we maintain the personal self by doing. By doing. Take a look at that. Take a look at that. All other doing is like the sun shining. You turn on the heat and the water starts to boil. You could say, oh, the heat is doing something. It's a universal doing. There is a universal doing. And right now, there is breathing. There is gravity. It's all universal doing. There is perception. It's universal doing. Most of the doing is happening on its own. And it's sort of a cosmic universal doing. Just be watchful to when you introduce the personal doing. And you will recognize that you've introduced a personal doing with the sense of urgency that you will experience in your body and the feeling that you will experience that there is something at stake. That's when you can take a break, pause a little bit, and ask yourself, what am I? What am I truly? Is there something really at stake, or is it just a spin? an old habitual spin. Worry, worry, rush, rush, watch out, be careful. Oh my God, this may happen, that may happen. Just a bad dream. Rest as being, relax as being. Yeah, all good. Rest as being. You are that, you are being, you are beingness. Okay. I'm going to take this opportunity to remind you that there is a retreat giving heads up in April 6 to April 11. For the people who are interested in joining us, the retreat is in Costa Rica, outside of San Jose. And you can contact us, or you can get all the information you need on the Meetup page. You go to Meetup and I think you Google, or not Google, you put in the Meetup search, you put Advaita or non-duality, and you will come onto our Meetup group where all the information is posted. Any questions? Okay, well, thank you all for this lovely meeting, and we'll see you again on Sunday. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste, Maggie.
Okay. Thank you, Zoe. Namaste, all of you. And Bo, thank you as well. Thank you all.
Thank you.